Good Sunday morning, everyone, and welcome into today's daily Bible reading for October the 8th. Today, we are beginning a new read through the Chronicles. We're going to be in First Chronicles chapter 1. Let me go ahead and just go and get the read out of the way, since it's not the most, it's not the most exciting read for us. It's a genealogy. And it's a genealogy that begins with Adam. And our read today, we're just going to do chapter 1. Our read today is going to take us through the descendants of the son of Abraham, Ishmael. So let's check that out today, right here in First Chronicles chapter 1, verse 1, and then I'll make a few observations about the text itself at the end, but I want to get some background information for Chronicles in for us today. That's going to be the main focus, is getting our read in, getting through this genealogy, this section of it, and then talking some more about Chronicles. That'll hopefully set our minds right for what we're going to see as we read throughout this text over the next few weeks. So First Chronicles chapter 1 and verse number 1. Adam, Seth, Enosh, Kenan, Mahalalel, Jared, Enoch, Methuselah, Lamech, Noah, Noah's sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Japheth's sons, Gomer, Magog, Medah, Javan, Tubal, Meshech, and Tiras. Gomer's sons, Ashkenaz, Riphath, and Togarmah. Javan's sons, Elisha, Tarshish, Kittim, and Rodanim. Ham's sons, Cush, Mizraim, Put, and Canaan. Cush's sons, Seba, Havilah, Sabda, Raama, Sabteka. Raama's sons, Sheba, and Dedan. Cush fathered Nimrod, who was the first to become a great warrior on the earth. Mizraim fathered the people of Lud, Anam, Lahab, Naphtah, Pathrus, Kazla. The Philistines came from them, and Kaphtor. Canaan fathered Sidon as his firstborn, and Heth, as well as the Jebusites, Amorites, Girgashites, Hivites, Arkites, Sinites, Arvadites, Zemarites, and Hamathites. Shem's sons, Elam, Ashur, Arshapad, Lud, Aram, Uz, Hul, Gether, and Meshech. Arpachshad fathered Shelah, and Shelah fathered Eber. Two sons were born to Eber. One of them was named Peleg, because the earth was divided during his lifetime, and the name of his brother was Joktan. Joktan fathered Almodad, Shelef, Hazar Maveth, Jerah, Hadoram, Uzal, Diklah, Ebal, Abimael, Sheba, Ophir, Havilah, and Jobab. All of these were Joktan's sons. Shem, Arpachshad, Shelah, Eber, Peleg, Reu, Serug, Nahor, Terah, and Abram, that is Abraham. Abraham's sons, Isaac and Ishmael. These are their family records. Nebaioth, Ishmael's firstborn, Kedar, Adbeel, Mibsam, Mishma, Duma, Masa, Hadad, Tema, Jetur, Naphish, and Kedemah. These were Ishmael's sons. The sons born to Keturah, Abraham's concubine, Zimran, Jokshan, Medan, Midian, Ishbak, and Shua. Jokshan's sons, Sheba and Dedan. Midian's sons, Epher, Hanok, Abida, and El-Da'ah. All of these were Keturah's descendants. Abraham fathered Isaac, and Isaac's sons, Esau and Israel. Esau's sons, Eliphaz, Reuel, Jush, Jalam, and Korah. Eliphaz's sons, Timan, Omar, Zephi, Gatam, and Kenaz, and by Timnah, Amalek. Reuel's sons, Nahath, Zerah, Shammah, and Mizah. Seir's sons, Lotan, Shobal, Zibeon, Anah, Dishon, Azer, and Dishon. Lotan's sons, Hori and Homam. Timnah was Lotan's sister. Shobal's sons, Alian, Manahath, Ebal, Shephi, and Onam. Zibeon's sons, Aya and Anna. Anna's son, Dishon. Dishon's sons, Hamron, Eshban, Ithron, and Kiron. Eber's sons, Bilhan, Zaavan, and Jaakan. Dishon's sons, Uz and Oran. These were the kings who reigned in the land of Edom before any king reigned over the Israelites. Bela, son of Beor, Bela's town was named Den-Habah. When Bela died, Jobab, son of Zerah from Bozrah, reigned in his place. When Jobab died, Husham from the land of the Tenemites reigned in his place. When Husham died, Hadad, son of Bedad, who defeated Midian in the territory of Moab, reigned in his place. Hadad's town was named Avith. When Hadad died, Samlah from Masrekah reigned in his place. When Samlah died, Shaul from Rehoboth on the Euphrates River reigned in his place. When Shaul died, Baal Hanan, son of Akbor, reigned in his place. When Baal Hanan died, Hadad reigned in his place. Hadad's city was named Pai, and his wife's name was Mahet Abel, daughter of Matred, daughter of Me-Zahab. Then Hadad died, and Edom's chiefs, Timnah, Alva, Jetheth, Lebama, Elah, Pinon, Kenaz, Timnah, Mibzar, Magdiel, and Iram. These were Edom's chiefs. And that is First Chronicles chapter 1. All right, so let's just think about Chronicles here for a bit, just to set us up. There's not much in the way of the narrative that's mentioned here in chapter 1, apart from it just begins very simply with Adam. It begins with Adam. And if you go to the very end of the Chronicles story, the way it is shared with us, it just talks about basically Adam's descendants, specifically the Israelites, going back to their hometown. So what we have here in Chronicles is basically a retelling of history that was significant to the people of Israel. So when everything about Chronicles, First Chronicles, as it's divided for us, we have First Chronicles and Second Chronicles. First Chronicles focuses a lot on what took place in First Samuel and Second Samuel. So First Chronicles, First Samuel, Second Samuel. Second Chronicles, a lot of it is First Kings and Second Kings. This text is traditionally attributed to the writing or to the authorship of Ezra, although that is not guaranteed at all. That is just a traditional belief of some historical tradition, you might say. Nothing in the text itself, though, indicates that. Whenever it comes to First Chronicles and Second Chronicles, we're just going to call it Chronicles because that's how it was written in the oldest Hebrew scriptures. You might remember that the Hebrew scriptures, the traditional Hebrew scriptures, are ordered differently than the way we have them in our Bibles. There were three sections. There was the law, there was the prophets, and then there were the writings. Chronicles, actually, and there's a couple different names. I forgot to write down the different names that people had for Chronicles, the Jews had for Chronicles, but it actually comes at the very end of their Hebrew scriptures. It's not like ours where you have First Kings, Second Kings, then First Chronicles, Second Chronicles. For us, whenever we read that, we're thinking, we just read this. We're basically on repeat reading through First and Second Chronicles what we've just seen in First Samuel, Second Samuel, First Kings, Second Kings. But in the Bibles that the Hebrews had for a long time, the Jews had, that simply was not the case at all. Again, it's at the very end of their scriptures. And the reason for that is that it is basically a retelling of everything for the people once they have come back from captivity. It seems pretty clear that this text was written post-exilic, meaning it was written after the time of the exile. There's a range of dates that people have for when the Chronicles were written. There is no consensus because there's nothing that gives us absolute understanding of when it was written. More than likely, though, it was written post-exilic because of some various things that are written in the text that would only make sense if it was written post-exilic. One of those being at the end of Chronicles, it talks about Cyrus sending the people back to the land, and it wasn't written as a prophecy, but again in a historical narrative type of way. So why was this written? Why does it begin with Adam and literally go up to the return from exile? Well, because it is we have First Samuel and Second. We have Samuel's and we have the Kings. They give the history of why the people were where they were in captivity. Well, now once they get back from captivity and they're in the land, they need to be refreshed on just everything about who they are. Because remember, a lot of what they had before the captivity, it's really no longer there. The shine of Israel has worn off tremendously. So there needs to be reminded of who they are and everything basically that God has done for them. So the way the chronicler, we'll call him that, the chronicler, if that is Ezra, whoever that might be, the chronicler, he begins, or she, probably he begins in the first 9 chapters as we have them with the genealogies. Why begin with genealogies? They're so boring, right? Well, they might be for us. You might be a little entertained just by me sitting here having to read all of those names. But genealogies, they served a purpose. Really, they told a story through lineage. They tell a story through lineage. There's emphasis in these genealogies on the messianic line. There's also emphasis within these genealogies on the priesthood line. Again, they're just trying to get the people caught up with history, who they are, where they came from. And then chapters 10 through 29 focus on stories about David. And again, the text of the story in the Chronicles is different than the story in Samuel's and the Kings, because again, the focus is different. It's really important to recognize that what we have in the Chronicles is a historical retelling for a theological purpose. It's historical retelling for a theological purpose. So you might remember how we talked about how reading at the end of Kings, that it was very emotionless, that, there's a lot of just very sad things were taking place within the end of the story in chapters 24 and 25, and how it's just spoken as a matter of fact. Well, because it was just retelling history, retelling what took place and all that. Well, here in the Chronicles, what we have is history being retold, yes, but it's being told in such a way that it's trying to make a specific purpose. It's trying to achieve, I should say, a specific theological purpose. And that purpose is to move the people from the doldrums of exile, from feeling sorry for themselves, and to move them toward faithfulness, because their faith is founded in a very faithful God. That's really what we're talking about with the Chronicles. It's the story being told for a very specific theological purpose, to move them towards faithfulness, to put their faith in a God who himself is faithful. So that's what we have in First Chronicles. Again, focusing on David, seeking to portray David as the image of the future messianic king. That's who they had to look forward to. They know that God has brought them back from captivity for the purpose of introducing the messianic king, and they're trying to look for that king to see and to understand what he is going to be about. You want to know what he's going to be about? He's going to be about the same things David was about, but in a more perfect way. So that's First Chronicles. Well, the Second Chronicles is going to focus specifically, unlike Kings, which bounces back and forth from the northern kingdom to the southern kingdom, it's going to focus on the southern kingdom of Judah. It's going to focus on the obedient kings. It's going to highlight some of the unfaithful kings. There's going to be a number of different character studies that are found within the text. And again, it's to teach the people, what does faithfulness look like? What does obedience look like? What does covenant loyalty look like? What does that look like in the eyes of God? What will help us to be successful having really this second chance here in the land? We want God to send his messianic king. We want that. And we want to be prepared as a people to receive that king in the proper way. And that's going to be best achieved by covenant faithfulness and covenant loyalty. So all these things are found here within the text. Again, written very late, probably one of the latest texts within the Old Testament to be written, if not the latest text. So there's a lot I'm really looking forward to reading about here in the Chronicles. You notice how I gave a number of details that were missing in Kings that are found here in Chronicles. I'm really excited to go through it and kind of compare what we have here within the Chronicles to what we had in the Kings. As far as looking here in this first chapter, again, we're going all the way back. It's not in the beginning. It's just Adam, or it just says Adam, the first man. And from the first man to Seth, and it goes through and highlights his descendants. Of course, the important ones to highlight are Noah, because from Noah, we're going to have basically a restart of Adam. And the son of Noah that we need to be concerned with is Shem. Shem is the one who leads to Abraham. We have some historical details that are mentioned here within this text as well. One of those being verse number 19 here at 1 Chronicles 1, where 2 sons were born to Eber, one whose name was Peleg, because the earth was divided during his lifetime. That's Genesis 11. That's the Tower of Babel time frame that's taking place there. And quickly after that, we see Abram, or Abraham, being introduced into the story, and that he has his sons Isaac and Ishmael, and that immediately would draw the reader's mind to the promises of God, these all important promises that he made to Father Abraham, and how so much of what God has been doing for his people is based upon what happened here. The whole reason he brought them back from captivity was to make sure to continue to fulfill the promises that have been made to Abraham. So we have Abraham's sons, one of them being Ishmael. We also have some sons that were born by Abraham from Keturah, who was Abraham's concubine. Then we focus in on Abraham fathering Isaac, and then Isaac's sons Esau and Israel, not Jacob. No, Israel, because that's the point. It's the point that he's not Jacob in this story. You want to focus on the fact that he is Israel. He's your father, the reader would understand. And then from Esau, I should say, I said Ishmael earlier. I should have said Esau. It is Esau's descendants who the Edomites come from. And we have just some history about them, that they had kings in the land of Edom before Israel had any kings within their land. So that's interesting to note there. And we kind of see the progression of their rulers there within the land. So the first chapter ends with Esau's descendants. And then we're going to pick up tomorrow looking at chapters 2 and 3 together, where we're going to see Israel's descendants, then specifically Judah. And then we're going to see David, look at Judah's kings. Again, David's line after exile. That to me, again, is a proof of this being written much later on, 5th-ish century, give or take a century or two, depending on your understanding. And then we'll keep looking on through there. If you have any questions about this particular text and genealogy here in chapter 1, please feel free to leave that in the comment section below. Or if you have any questions about the Chronicles themselves, please feel free to leave that in the comment section below as well. I'm really excited to read this text together with you. I have some good resources that should be coming in the mail here today, hopefully, or here soon, that can aid me in the preparation for these reads. Hopefully give us some tidbits that we can think about as we're looking at, again, what many people consider kind of a boring section of genealogies, but I want to try to mine this text and find some good tidbits that I can share with us as we go throughout this read. Really appreciate you taking some time to read along with me today here in 1 Chronicles chapter 1. Really excited, though, to be with everybody here in a little bit for our Bible studies and worship assembly. In our worship assembly, the lesson that I'll be presenting is from Acts chapter 4, verses 1 through 31, where we're going to look at how the apostles in early church responded to being hated simply for the name of Jesus. The fact that they spoke in Jesus' name, the fact that they proclaimed Jesus' name, brought some blowback upon them from various groups. We want to look at that, see how they responded, and gain encouragement from that, and learn how we can respond whenever we too might be hated for the name of Jesus. Again, thanks for tuning in today. Hope everybody has a great rest of your Sunday. May God bless you in all that you do. And we'll see you tomorrow as we read together from 1 Chronicles chapter 2 and 3. Take care and God bless.